Welcome back, eSIM Studios. Apologize for recording in the car, but you know what it is, busy day, and I simply can't find time to record in the studio today. But got some very interesting news, very interesting news. So, as you know, we've been talking about Apple designing their own modem, right? They're getting away from Qualcomm so they can eventually manufacture and own each and every component inside of their devices, iPhone, iPad, MacBook, what have you. So their deal with Qualcomm to manufacture ends at the end of the year. However, it's not totally ending. So the manufacturing contract ends at this year, and Apple's going to go with their own modem. They've been designing their own modem. It's been in the works for years, 5-7 years, something like that. It's very difficult to design and manufacture. But the end of life contract, meaning Qualcomm, technically, if Apple wants to, it's in Qualcomm's hands. The ball's in Qualcomm's court. Qualcomm provides all modems for iPhones, for Apple products right now. But they technically, by law, by their contract, have to supply Apple with modems for the next 2 years if they choose to. And it's up to Apple to take them up on that deal, on that offer. Although Qualcomm has, Apple has stated that they are going with their own modems. And the very first Apple device with the new Apple modem is going to be the iPhone SE 4, right? It's going to be the SE 4, one we've talked about for quite a while. It's going to look similar to the iPhone 14, the base model. Now, we got some information that makes this story just that more interesting, just that more juicy. Boy, what do you know? So a new report came out yesterday that Apple's new 5G modem is not going to support mmWave. Wow. Say what? It's not going to support mmWave. Now, if you didn't know, there's two basic types, at least here in the United States, two basic types of 5G frequencies. There's sub-6 frequency that the traditional GSM companies use for their 5G, specifically T-Mobile, specifically AT&T, and then all the smaller carriers that are under those those carriers' umbrellas, sort of like Mint Mobile, Cricket, Boost, stuff like that, right? Now, the not supporting mmWave. So who uses mmWave in the United States? Well, that would be your Verizon. That would be Spectrum. That would be Visible. So you're telling me that the new iPhone SE 4 is not going to support 5G from Verizon, from Spectrum, from Visible? Wow. Well, to combat that, Apple has a clever way to try and combat this. So instead of just, because that would be a huge hit, that would be a major hit. Why would you upgrade to a new iPhone? Not only are these modems going to be put in the new iPhone SE 4, they're also the same exact modem is going to be placed in the iPhone 17 series. So you're telling me that the iPhone 17, 17 Air, 17 Pro, 17 Pro Max is not going to support 5G frequencies from Spectrum, from Visible, from Verizon? Whoa, that would be absolutely crazy. And especially in a day like today, right? Now, there's a couple of things that they're doing. So Apple knows this, and what their new modem is comprised of, it's very intricate. It's very, there's a lot of moving parts here. So what Apple has done is they've sort of integrated, not necessarily a bypass, but what they can do is, in fact, let me pull up this info right now. Hang on. So check this out. I got my notes here. So the first Apple modem will also support 4-carrier aggregation, a technology that combines bands, 5G bands, frequencies, from several wireless providers simultaneously to increase network capacity and speeds. Now, the Qualcomm modem that we're all using in all of our phones here in the US can support up to 6 carriers for more aggregation, feeding it into one basic network, right? So what Apple's going to do is kind of take a page out of Qualcomm's playbook. Obviously, Qualcomm's more advanced, but so to combat the no millimeter wave in this iPhone SE4 and the new iPhone 17 series, they're basically going to bypass and or work out some sort of deal where it's going to pull sub-6 frequencies, sub-6 5G frequencies and bands, and sort of implement that into your iPhone to kind of circumvent the missing millimeter wave bands in that modem, if that makes sense. I mean, it's obviously more intricate than that. It's way more difficult than that, but in layman's terms, that's what they're going to do. Now, are they going to have to make some certain deal with a T-Mobile to kind of borrow some frequencies? Is Apple going to go buy spectrum from the FCC in sort of a sub-6 spectrum, 5G spectrum, and beam that into their phones in the missing wake of not having millimeter wave? That's possible too. Now, these FCC bids and auctions for this spectrum is very, very expensive. But it's over billions of dollars just for one frequency. But they're the number one most valuable company in the world. So if anybody can do it, they can. I don't know. I think all options on the table. I think they already have a plan put in place. Because if you're, and they knew this was coming, right? This is news to us because we just got the news. But if we just got the news, that means that they've known this for months, basically. So let me tell you another very interesting part. Hang on. Now, when it comes to Qualcomm and Apple's relationship, here is another angle that could be played out in the future. And when it comes to this topic that I'm going to discuss, all of the cards are in Qualcomm's hands, right? Because they could make it very, very difficult for Apple and embarrassing, quite frankly, to not support millimeter wave in 2025 is frankly embarrassing. So another angle, another aspect that could play out is Apple could work with Qualcomm, since technically the deal to supply true Qualcomm 5G modems is over at the end of this year. However, that's not the total end of the deal, as I was kind of explaining at the very beginning of this video. It's actually, they still have a supplier's contract, Apple and Qualcomm does, that extends for another 2 years, meaning the deal specifically for 5G modems in iPhones and Apple products for that specific modem ended this year at the end of 2024. However, they still have a supplier's contract, meaning Qualcomm could supply them for up to 2 years for additional components, So here's another angle. Apple could put their 5G modem in their iPhone SE4 and in the upcoming iPhone 17 series. And to circumvent the missing millimeter wave, they could tap Qualcomm to implement some sort of millimeter wave into this modem. So it would be like 90% of an Apple modem, Apple made, Apple manufactured, Apple designed modem. But then like the other little 10%, the little millimeter wave chip that they're going to put in there could be supplied by Qualcomm. Qualcomm's the world leader in not only Well, I guess that's up for debate in CPUs, but I don't think it's up to. I don't think it's up for debate when it comes to the modems. Qualcomm is the world leader when it comes to modems. And what does a modem do? A modem is essentially the chip inside of your phone that handles networks, right? Whether it's Wi-Fi or whether it's 5G, 4G from cell towers, right? So Qualcomm holds all the chips when it comes to this relationship. And let me explain why. Because while Apple is a giant in the mobile phone industry, there's one analysis that has implied that the 5G modem maker, meaning Qualcomm now he's talking about, holds all the cards, and the ball is in their court when it comes to trying to implement millimeter wave. Again, very embarrassing that Apple is going to not have millimeter wave on these phones. Now, Qualcomm could cut them off and say, no, we're going to leave you out to dry. We're going to hang you out to dry. You're leaving us. You're leaving business on the table. Because make no mistake about it, billions and billions of dollars Apple's paying Qualcomm for modems. And that's one of the advantages of making your own modem, is you don't have to pay Qualcomm all this money. You get to keep that, right? You get to reinvest it into your technology. While Qualcomm would not benefit from pulling out and saying you're on your own, you're out to dry. I'm hanging you out to dry. While Qualcomm would not benefit really from doing that, if they did that, the blow to Apple would be far more injurious. Would be far more harmful and embarrassing for Apple. Now, Qualcomm could hang them out there to dry. Again, they do have a supplier's contract for 2 more years. Now, Qualcomm could do the opposite. Qualcomm could say, okay, we'll help you out here with this millimeter wave thing and try to implement it into your modem. We know how to do that, but you're going to have to pay us extra, right? Qualcomm could ring Apple for billions and billions of dollars for doing this for them. Now, Qualcomm has been known to be a little petty. I'm a huge fan of Qualcomm in the Snapdragon CPU, and let me whisper when I say this. I kind of wish my Pixel still had a Qualcomm Snapdragon in it. You know how badass this phone would be if it had the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 in here, or X Elite. Oh my god. Perfect phone. It's almost perfect now. That's basically the only thing holding it back is its CPU. Anyways, Qualcomm is kind of petty because when Google made the announcement that they're leaving Qualcomm, because Google used to run Qualcomm CPUs in these phones, but when they made the announcement, 4 or 5 years ago, that they're leaving Qualcomm and they're going to make their own CPU, Qualcomm in the press they put out a press release and was trolling Google. Like, really? Y'all really want to do that? Y'all really want to drop us and go with a Exynos based CPU? Okay, have fun. That's basically what they said. I'm paraphrasing, but not really. I mean, that's pretty close to what they said in the statement. And everybody's like, oh shit. Qualcomm, world leader in what they do, and that's for a reason, and they know it, right? So what do I think is going to happen? I think Qualcomm is going to throw Apple a bone. So not only can they say, down the road, you never know what can happen in the future. You don't want to burn all your bridges. That's basically what Google did to Qualcomm, is they essentially left in the middle of the night and left the contract on the table without any preconceived notions that they were going to do that. They basically, when they were at the end of their contract with Google and they were going to negotiate a new contract, Google just left and kind of left Qualcomm hanging out to dry. Now, they can do that. That's the prerogative. But what I think is going to happen, I meant don't burn bridges. So if I already said that, I apologize, but that's the main point. So what I think Qualcomm can do here is essentially kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I think they're going to throw Apple a lifesaver, a life preserver, and I think they're going to assist them in some way, shape, or form with millimeter wave in the upcoming iPhone SE4 and iPhone 17 series. Don't forget iPads. And not only are they going to throw them a bone now, but that could help them in the future. Say 5 years from now, for whatever scenario. It's kind of like I scratch your back now, you scratch my back later. See, it's like a IOU basically. So, and trust me, Qualcomm's not doing this for free. They can actually, I don't have the contract in front of me, but there's all sorts of stipulations. These contracts and negotiations sometimes take years to negotiate. So it's probably a $5,000, a 5,000 page document. But they could nickel and dime Apple to death for doing this too. So not only could they make record profits probably on assisting Apple in some way, shape, or form. We're talking billions of dollars here. And Apple knows it, right? Now, this will get negotiated as well, but that's what I think is going to happen. I think Qualcomm's probably going to throw them a bone, a life preserver, assist them for now, even though they know that Apple's leaving, and yes, they are petty, but you never know in the future. They might, say, hey, remember when y'all were desperate because you couldn't get the mmWave thing going? Remember we helped you out for 2 years? And not to mention, they're going to pocket billions of dollars from Apple. So I think that's what's going to happen. Because remember, these companies are all about money, and that technically that would be leaving money on the table. And these companies want to get as much revenue as possible so they can show it to their shareholders. The CEO looks good. Everything looks good. Everything's gravy over here. So that's probably what will happen. Now, moving into the future, iPhone 18 and greater. So iPhone 18, iPhone 19, I know that sounds crazy to think, but we're almost there. Apple is supposed to have a fully functional, fully working 5G, sub-6 5G, and mmWave 5G starting in iPhone 18 series. So it's just basically going to be for these next 2 years. It's going to be for the year of 2025. They're going to need assistance from Qualcomm and 5G and mmWave, and the year 2026, and then later in 2026 is when moving into 2027. That's when, with the release of the iPhone 18 series, that's when Apple's going to introduce their new 5G modem with sub-6 and mmWave support. So, kind of interesting turn of events here. We all knew this modem was coming. We did not expect it to be missing mmWave. Again, very embarrassing. Even shitty CPUs like Samsung Exynos have mmWave. Actually, the modem that's in, the Exynos modems aren't that bad. In fact, I think the CPUs are worse performing than their modems. In fact, the Google Pixel 9 series has got an all-new modem, and yes, it helps tremendously on battery life. That's the other thing you have to worry about. If Apple's new 5G modem is missing mmWave, and they have to circumvent some of these frequencies to kind of support the lack of mmWave, your battery life is not going to get good. It's not going to be good because I'm not going to say that, but probably that's what's going to happen, and it's not going to be as good as it could be. Google put an all-new modem in the Pixel 9 series, and my cell service is freaking awesome. It seems like I'm never searching for a signal. It seems like my cell signal, when I look down, it's always maxed out. It's always on 100%. And that's what assists. You're going to see you see a lot of people. If you go online, you'll see a lot of people say very good things about the Pixel battery. And that's almost single-handedly thanks to the new modem they put in. The new modem they put in is phenomenal. And just that one component can make a huge difference in the usability of the device. How many phones have you sold? How many phones have you got rid of because you get bad battery life? I can't even count. If you want me to give you a real number, I've had a lot of phones in the last, 15 years? if you think over 15. Now, I didn't start getting multiple phones a year until probably half of those years, but I'm getting like 5, 6 phones a year for 7 years. So now, not every single one of them had bad battery life, but just to give you a rough number, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 phones I got rid of because of bad battery life. Well, that doesn't look good, and I'm not the average case. I'm not the typical user, right? The average person gets one phone and the average upgrade cycle is once every roughly 3 years, right? 2.8 years. But if you're one of the unlucky ones that does get a device with very bad battery life, you're going to get rid of it sooner. And there's a chance when you do get rid of it, you might not use that same phone, meaning you might not get another Apple. You may want to try Samsung, right? Hang on. Sorry, busy. And we'll get out of here, but I'm going to leave you with it just to give you an idea of how much money Qualcomm makes on some of these transactions. Just on the 5G modem alone, on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Thank you. Just on the iPhone 16 alone, iPhone 16 Pro Max, just that one model alone, there were 90 million 5G modems from Qualcomm made for the Pro Max. 90 million modems, 5G modems for that device. And Qualcomm generated from Apple, because Apple had to pay Qualcomm for these modems to put in the Pro Max, $2.52 billion. $2.52 billion. And that's just on one iPhone model. So you see how every decision here has major, major implications for not only for money, but as we mentioned, in battery life, for usability for your user. So there's a lot on the line here, not only for Apple, but for Qualcomm too. And I'm going through a number of stories that I could talk about, but I'm going to get out of here. I will be back in studio tomorrow. I do apologize for recording in here. Side note, when I first started this YouTube channel, all my videos used to be in the car. So you can see how, if you go back and search maybe a year or two ago, you'll see me doing stuff in the car. Long story. Anyways, we've progressed to a studio in my home that I use. So I have a lot of news here that we can discuss, and I look forward to it. So, quick note. Did I mention eSIM Studios is now a member of HP's, what do they call it? Influencer program, or HP's program partner, something like that. So I was informed that I will be getting shipped a new AI PC laptop. Not sure of the exact model, but they did let me know it will be a new HP AI laptop. Very excited. I'm very eager to work on this partnership. We not only cover news, talk about industry news, we also do case reviews, phone reviews, unboxings, and I'm proactively trying to get into PC reviewing. I want to add that to the channel. Not necessarily gaming or desktops, primarily laptops, because what does this channel cover? Mobile technology. Well, laptops fall right in there with mobile technology because you can take them anywhere. So, and I'm also looking to get an iPad, which, don't worry, I'm not flip-flopping. I'm not going to go to the dark side and be an Apple fanboy, but I think I'm in the market for an iPad too. But very excited to get started with HP and their partner program. I want to thank the representative over there at HP that I have been in contact with. Very excited, and we're gonna be giving you honest reviews, right? So I think some of my subscribers that have been watching videos for a while know that I try to give you my honest opinion. I'm not just because somebody gives me something for free. Look, and I say this all the time. No phone is perfect. Now, that can also be said even more so for PCs, right? No laptop's perfect. There's always something they could have done better. There's always a compromise that these manufacturers have to put in place just to get a device or a model pushed out to the public, right? That's just a fact. Whether it's a phone, a laptop, even a case, not any, but a lot of these technology products, a lot of these consumer electronics products, they have to, it's a tit for tat, right? So if they want to add this, well, the mobile division is, we can't, we're going to go over on our price per unit. That's going to bring up the average, and we're going to be over our price per unit. If you really, really want this, we're going to have to take something else out of the phone. And then they're like, shit. Well, I guess we can downgrade modems, right? Let's not go with the new X80 modem, Qualcomm modem. Let's go with the X70. That happens all the time. And it's just the way it is. So I'm not just going to gush over these things. I'm sure it's really freaking nice, and I'm very excited, but I'm going to give you an honest review and my honest opinion. So very excited. So thank you, HP. And I have an Android box review I'm going to do this week. It's on schedule. And I also have a very, very, probably one of the best screen protectors you can get for your phone. I'm going to review it this week. It's on the schedule. I've been backed up with a lot of personal stuff that's kind of been not blocking me, but I had some stuff on the schedule, unexpected stuff in my personal life that I was going to schedule those reviews for this week and just couldn't get to them, but I'm going to get to them this week. So let me shut up. I gotta run in here, so I'll end the video there. But please subscribe to the channel. You get notified of all new live streams, all new videos I upload. And please stay safe. Happy holidays. And as always, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.